Okay, so welcome everyone. This is our yet another episode, I would say, of our Monday meeting of experiencing Mohanji through different voices. And we've had many people coming forward now to speak and share their transformative journey with Mohanji. And today we have a very special guest, Vijay. All of you know him. He works very silently in the background. He's part of the Global Council, but an amazing person and one of the longest standing person with Mohanji. In fact, recently Mohanji had very lovingly spoken about him, about his earlier days and how Vijay was with him throughout. So thank you, Vijay, for joining us. And we are really eager to hear about your experiences, your transformative journey with Mohanji. And later on, if any of us have any questions or anything additional to ask you, we'll do that. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Rika, and thank you very much to everybody else who's joined. I think some of you may have heard some of the things I'm going to be speaking about earlier, but when it comes to Mohanji, sometimes just learning about these things, about Mohanji's grace, his guidance, his protection, and his love. And I think that just kind of reinforces that connection that we have with him. So what I'd like to do today is actually start from the very beginning about my journey with Mohanji. So I've actually been a devotee of Satya Sai Baba, and you can probably see his outline behind me there. And it's over 50 years from very young age when my parents just suddenly came home with a picture of Satya Sai Baba, and we used to go to the Satya Sai Baba Center, and I've had many trips to Buddhapati as well. One of my concerns with Satya Sai Baba was what happens when he leaves the body. And this was one of the things that I was really pondering about for so long, that when Satya Sai Baba leaves the body, then what do I do? At that time, because he meant so much to me, and everything I was doing was very much integrated with his teachings and the centers and things like that. And so this was just something at the back of my mind, and as it will transpire, I think you will see what happened when Mohanji left his body, because he left his body in 2011. But even before that time, what I would say, I used to have quite a few dreams of Satya Sai Baba. He used to give a lot of guidance to me, and sometimes quite direct guidance. He would appear in a dream and tell me to do this or that. And one day I was working in the hospital at Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital in London. I've been there 10 years, and I thought it's time for a change. And so what I did, I saw a job in Oman, which intrigued me because I worked in my early years in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years. And a lot of people spoke very highly about Oman. And I thought, that's a really interesting job, because there was some teaching at the university, teaching some biomedical science students, as well as working and developing things in the laboratories as well. So I applied. But in the meantime, I never heard anything. So in the meantime, I applied for another job. This was in a private hospital in London. And I went for the interview and I got the job. But just prior to starting this job, this new job, I had a dream of Satya Sai Baba. And I was sitting down. He approached me. He was in his orange robe. And he came right up to me and he said, "You should go to Oman." And I said, "I should go to Oman, Swami?" Because I never heard anything from that job at all, not even an acknowledgement, not even a rejection or anything. And he said, "Yes, you'll learn more technically." And then he said to me, "There's too much politics at the London clinic. This is the place where I was going to start." And then at the end of the day, I said to Swami, because I was puzzled, I got this job offer. I'm starting a few days. I'd already resigned from my existing job, and nothing from Oman. So I said to him, "Baba, should I go to the London clinic or should I go to Oman?" And he said, "That's up to you." So given that I'd already accepted the job at the London clinic, I started. And after a few months there, I realized there was a tremendous amount of politics, just as Baba actually said to me. And then this dream that I had kept on bugging me. And I was thinking, why did Barbara ask me to go to Oman? I still haven't heard anything from this job in Oman. So I thought I will contact one of my friends who I knew who worked in a different hospital in Oman. And I spoke to her. Her name was Una Gibbons, an Irish lady who I worked with in Saudi Arabia. She was my senior, actually. And I said, Una, I'd applied for this job at Sultan Qaboos University Hospital. And I never even got a response. And she goes, leave it with me. And what I'm about to recount is effectively how I think that we have very little control over things that happen in our life, and how this series of synchronicity, coincidence, and everything is something that drives a lot of us. You know, Mohanji often says that allow the karmic agenda that we have will unfold itself over time throughout different periods of our life. And I feel this is what happened here. So I phoned this lady and she said to me, leave it to me. And she was going to a concert later on that week at one of the five-star hotels. And when she went there, she met by coincidence the consultant who was in charge of the place where I was supposed to be working, where I'd applied. And she said to this lady, she said, look, you know, one of my good friends applied, very well qualified, really good experience, and he never heard nothing. And she said, really? She goes, tell him to send the CV directly to me. So I sent it to her through email. And then it turned out that she was coming to London literally within a couple of weeks. And she was actually she had a flat near Harley Street, very near where I was actually working. And then she came to see me. We had an informal chat. And then afterwards, she said, okay, I'll sort everything out. It wasn't even an interview, it was an informal chat. She wanted to know what I was doing, my experience and everything. Had this chat. Then I eventually got offered the job. And she sorted everything out accommodation and everything. And she was very helpful in terms of looking for schools for our children and everything. Anyway, so we went to Oman. And my wife was not very happy at going to Oman because she felt, why are we leaving London to go to Oman? I said, because Baba has actually told me to go there. That's why I'm going. So she said, okay, I want a maid. I said, okay, you can have a maid. You can have a part-time maid. So I put an advert in the staff quarters, the staff club, where you have gyms, swimming pool and things like that. Put an advert there. And I said, looking for a part-time maid. And then this lady phoned me one morning. Her name is Dr. Dipali, and her husband was Sanjay Jaju. And they contacted me, phoned me in the morning, and they said, I hear that you're looking for a maid, and our maid is full-time with us. She would like to work a few hours. I said, okay, fine, send her over. This maid was called Mukta, very nice lady. And we took her on. And cut a long story short, Mumtaz was very good with our children and also very good with Dipali's children. And we then became firm friends with Dr. Dipali and Dr. Sanjay. We used to go out to the beach, we used to go restaurants and everything. And they were very intrigued by us because we're from the UK, we don't drink, we're completely vegetarian, we're devotees of Satya Sai Baba. So they were a treat from that perspective, but nothing more. It was more social gatherings. Anyway, a few years later, in 2007, so I went to Oman in 2004, 2007 I left. And then we were in London again for a few more years. And then one day in I think it was about July in 2010, Dipali, she emails me and she says, you know, we're coming to the UK. Let's meet up. I said, okay, well, we'll meet up. We met in Covent Garden. And when we met, they suddenly started talking about this guru. She said they started talking. They were saying Dipali has met this self-realized person, and he is the managing director of three companies. He's married to a Serbian lady, and he lives in Kurum. And Kurum is the posh part of Oman. And I was thinking, this sounds really odd. And then they said that Dipali has been initiated to give Shaktipat. And I thought, this sounds really odd. This lady that showed no interest in religion or spirituality or anything like that is suddenly giving Shaktipat. They're connected to this gentleman. And then Sanjay got a iCard out and he said, if you want to connect to him, just look at his eyes. And I was thinking, this is incredibly strange. You know, they're asking me to connect to this person, look at it, look into his eyes, and they said if you look into our eyes 2 to 3 minutes, then you'll connect to his consciousness. And me and my wife was almost trying to keep our laughter down because inside we were finding it like a joke almost. But anyway, um, then Sanjay said to me, look, Deepali's written some blogs, so would you like to read them and let us know your feedback? I said, okay, I'll read them. And out of respect, although I wasn't very interested, when we got home, my wife got the card and she put it in the shrine, but she just put it in a drawer somewhere. But then I read the blog, and the blog was actually really interesting. And then I looked at Mohanji's blogs and I read his blogs on Satya Sai Baba, on Babaji, on so many different topics. And what I loved about his writing was the simplicity and the clarity of everything that he was saying. There was an authority in how he wrote, and he wrote so elegantly and beautifully. And I was really impressed by the writing, but I thought, okay, that is really nice. So I wrote back to my friends and I said, you know what, very nice blogs. Just send our regards to Mumtaz, who's the maid and everything. And we left it at that. And then what happened to me, maybe a month or two later, I had a dream. And in this dream, I was standing somewhere in a hall. And then I saw a person who looked like this man that Dipali was talking about, long hair, white kurta pajama. And he was walking down a corridor, and the walls of the corridor were glass. So I could see through the glass, and I could see him walking along, mala. And he was with a few devotees who were walking with him. And he came into the room where I was. He came right up to me and he touched me on the shoulder, pushed me back this side, then touched me on the other shoulder, pushed me back that side. Then he grabbed something from the middle of my body and just threw it out like this. And I have no idea what that was. And then he hit me on the third eye with his palm of the hand. He hit me right there. And then I kind of lost consciousness, both in the dream and also physically. And then when I woke up, it was like as if I'd woken up from this really incredibly heavy sleep, like as if I was unconscious and I'd woken up. And I said to my wife, you know that man that Dipali was talking about? I think I dreamt of him today, and this is what happened. And she was a little bit skeptical. And she said, "Oh, maybe it was somebody else." And I said, "No, I think it was this man that Dipali was talking about, Mohanji." And so then I started reading more. I ordered the book Power of Purity, and I got more and more interested. I downloaded the meditation. I tried it, and I told Sanjay, I tried this meditation. It's very nice. And in September in 2011, now this is about 4 to 5 months after Satya Sai Baba had left his body. And remember, one of my concerns always was what will happen after Satya Sai Baba left his body. So this is about 4 or 5 months afterwards. Dipali messaged me and she says, Vijay, Mohanji is coming to London. He's coming for a shipping conference in Oxford Street. And if you want, you can maybe organize a meditation. I said, fine, I can do that. And I said, but, rather than staying in a hotel, if he wants to, he can stay at my place. Even though I've never met him and never spoken to him or anything, I spoke to my wife, said he can stay at my place. And they asked Mohanji, and to my surprise, he agreed. He said, I'd be very happy to stay with Vijay. And he said, look, I've got very simple needs. I just need a small amount of space and just a bathroom, access to a bathroom, and that's it. That's all my needs. And so cut a long story short, he was coming. I think it was the 3rd of November. And myself and my son, we went to the airport, and there was only the two of us there, nobody else, no, because nobody knew of Mohanji. And so we received him, and I bought these these orange flowers to offer to Mohanji, because orange is the color of Sati Sai Baba's robe, and I bought these flowers, and I offered it to him. And he turned up. He had jeans, a t-shirt, and a casual jacket. And I know that this is quite, quite unusual, for a guru. And then as soon as he came into the car, then he started doing things on his phone. And I thought, oh, is he going to be distracted by his phone? And I was just not too sure what to make of this person because first time I'm meeting. And so he said, oh, look, I'm just sending a message to Biba. Biba is Devi, actually, his wife. And just give me a few minutes. And he sent the message. And then I realized he put his phone away and he gave 100% concentration and focus to the conversation with me. And it's very rare to see somebody with that level of focus and concentration. So everything I said, he listened very, very carefully, and and then he came home, and then when my wife opened the door, did the puja, the waving the lamp and everything, came in, and the first thing he did, he said, these flowers, can you offer them at Baba's feet, Satya Sai Baba's feet? And for me, that completed that cycle all the way from Baba telling me to go to Oman, getting them made, contact with Dipali, and then this further contact, and then this, what do I do when Baba leaves, and then these flowers being offered to Satya Sai Baba again. That just completed the whole cycle for me. And then while he was there, I asked him, what do you want to do? And he said he'd like to go to Shakespeare, Stratford upon Avon. So I said, fine, we'll organize that. He had to go to his conference. And so one day I decided to take him to the conference myself. I took leave and I decided to take him to the conference. And then there was just so much traffic, we got stuck. And I said to Mohanji, you're going to be late. Should we go on the tube? And he said, fine, let's go on the tube. So we got out, and the tube is the train. It's like the underground jet train. So I parked my car somewhere. I got on the train with him. And so casually, we just used to go to the tube, and then went along to his conference. I think it was a conference of Multiport. So I went there with him in the morning by tube, dropped him there, and then after his conference, I used to come back and then pick him up. I took the car when I was picking him up, and then brought him back. So we have lots of easy conversations and everything. And during that time, then I took him to Stratford upon Avon. He walked around. I think there's some sort of connection there, but I never actually got the chance to actually ask him about Shakespeare and why he was so keen to go visit Shakespeare's place. And we took some lovely photos there. And then I took him sightseeing. So I went to Buckingham Palace and the London Bridge and all of these sort of places. And we had a nice time. And then we had a meditation. And during that meditation, I called my friends. And some of those friends were like Jay and Sharma. Sharma is on the testimonials team. So Jay and Sharma, they came. So this meditation was held on the 5th of November, actually. So I remember it because there was fireworks. And I think there was fireworks inside the house too. Because Mohanji came, my parents came, my nephew Ashley, who was a monk at Skandervale for many years, he came. And all of our friends that I knew, and most of my friends are from the Sai organization. And then when we had the meditation, Power of Purity, so many people had so many wonderful experiences. Many of them were Baba devotees, and they saw Baba walking around, giving the blessings and giving this message and that. I don't usually get that sort of thing. I don't see visions and that. I have dreams of Baba, but that's it. I don't have visions and that sort of thing. And but they were all had these amazing experiences. Um, and then I organized another satsang in a hall, satsang and meditation. Again, many people had some beautiful experiences and started to connect with Mohanji. And so those were the seeds of how things started in the UK. Now, I remember as I was leaving, as Mohanji was leaving, and I was driving him to the airport, he gave me a CD and he said, Vijay, if anybody wants to conduct meditations, just give them the CD. He never said you should conduct the meditation. He just give them the CD. And I thought, okay, what we eventually did, we started doing meditations at my house and we rotated with different people and we used to do the meditations. And then eventually we moved from there, we moved to a hall and then things got bigger, etc. But during the car journey, I remember being a little bit confused because Mohanji had come into our lives. We're deeply connected to Satya Sai Baba, and there's this kind of conflict happening, and the feeling almost that, okay, am I rejecting Satya Sai Baba and then sort of connecting to Mohanji? And I felt conflicted about that, and I felt very confused. So I said to Mohanji on the car journey, I said, Mohanji, you said that we can connect to your consciousness with this card. Why should I look at your eyes? Why can't I look at Satya Sai Baba's eyes? And he said to me, you can. Satya Sai Baba is a million times more powerful than me. And if that works for you, then please do that. And then he said, but remember one thing. Are you a devotee of the form of Satya Sai Baba or the consciousness of Satya Sai Baba? And for me, that really hit me very significantly because I felt, okay, he's right. I'm not a devotee of the form. I'm actually a devotee of that consciousness. And it's all a kind of divine coincidence and a divine sort of synchronicity and a divine coincidence that's led me to here. So it's all that same thing, that same divine consciousness that has led me here. And so for me, that was really, really significant. And then I'd like to do just a little thing from after he left. So when he left, I wrote him a little message thanking him for everything that he'd done for us. And I remember feeling puzzled about how comes he's suddenly just come to our house. And I said to him, Mohanji, how comes that you've come to our place? I'm just feeling a bit puzzled as to how that's come about. And he said, it's your eligibility. And then I realized, and quite often he speaks about eligibility, even during the abundance program. He's saying, okay, if we're not experiencing that abundance, then some things that you can do is to improve your eligibility. And how did I improve my eligibility? Because when I was connected, well, I still am connected to Sai Baba, I used to do quite a lot of service with disabled people, elderly people, homeless. I used to do a lot of that, especially in my younger days. And I used to even take groups to Prashanti and serve in the organization as well. So I think all of these in some way, even though you're not doing it for reward, contributed to eligibility. And when Mohanji came back, when he went back to Muscat, he wrote me a little note following a message I'd sent to him. He said, look, dearest Vijay, indeed, the trip was wonderful. I totally felt at home. The parathas and pickles, my wife used to give him some parathas and pickles, which he quite liked. Love and affection. Above all, the informality suited me a lot. Formal places and people does not suit me. But, of course, I handle that with my official colleagues. I must thank you for taking leave and attending to me with so much dedication and love, which made the whole trip so smooth and easy. As I had said, those who were supposed to meet me met me and were benefited. My effort was to make them see from form to the formless or from form to the consciousness. When someone says, I know Baba or have experienced him, what exactly does that mean? Is it the form that we consider as Baba or the consciousness that we need to achieve? When we say we know the form, it is too physical and temporary. When we know the consciousness, which is Baba, we know everything. And that knowledge will result in silence. Merger with supreme consciousness will be expressed and can be expressed only through silence. It cannot be articulated. Indeed, my presence has never left your home. I am still there. And I am definitely there with many people who are connecting beautifully without inhibitions related to form. Some are connecting extremely well. It is for those that I was there. More will connect in the future. They will know who I am and what is my purpose in the course of time. More miracles will take place, only as eye-openers to certain truths. People will feel my presence in their spine or third eye. This will happen to people who earnestly try to connect. I will work through them. My love to Vivek, Neelam, and Ranjana too. Wish you happiness and peace always. Love, Mohanji. So for me, that was quite an amazing message. And also during our journeys while he was here, he used to speak about the larger vision. And sometimes I found some of it a little bit hard to believe, because at that time he was a working man. There was no ashram or anything like that. There was Devi was also working, so she was working at Mercedes-Benz in Muscat. And so he was just doing all of this, and on the side wherever he was traveling. And the only organization we had was Amucare. And then that was just doing small things like doing blankets and stuff. And if you look at what Amucare are doing now, it's almost mind-blowing, the growth that we've seen. And you look at across the world, you see all of these spaces, you look at all these ashrams, you look at all these people connecting, you look at the grand vision of Mohanji, what is doing for sort of temples, WCA, WTA, and all of these different platforms is formed. It's incredible. And this was in those early days, right in 2011, early 2011, where there was nothing there. So I feel privileged to have been part of that journey. And as I said, for me, it's all sort of kind of hand delivered almost to me through Baba. And then over the years, obviously, in the UK, we have grown. Ag Foundation, Mohanji Foundation registration, and there's been many things which I've had the benefit and the privilege of being able to be part of. Things like Kailash, and also I did the DevCum 12 years ago. I was very blessed to be on that. And then luckily the Nakora a couple of years later, and then Kumbh Mela, so many things like this. I see you got your hand up. Pooja, would you like to jump in? Pooja, you got your hand up?
Pooja, you've got your hand up. Okay. No, I think she's not able to hear
I
us.
think maybe it was an accident.
It was an accident, yeah.
Yes,
Actually,
that's okay.
Vijay, since you were speaking and we're taking a pause here, I just remembered how Mooji once shared with me that you and Madhu have been the two pillars, and he said he would literally like to have that many Madhus and Vijays together with him, and he repeated the same thing recently in Scotland also, how you've been with him throughout from the time, and you have seen this beautiful journey, this beautiful growth from how it was to what we are today in so many different countries, and literally helping Mohanji and being there. It's
Yes.
such an amazing journey, and I think Michael wants to say something. So yes, Michael, please.
Yes, Michael.
Thank you, Rekha. Hello, Vijay.
Yes,
Yes,
hello.
I can just confirm what Rekha said, in that recently in Scotland, I think you were referred to as the Rock or Peter by
Yes.
Mohanji. That's just obviously that's the importance that Mohanji puts on Vijay. But I just want to show Vijay something, because I arrived 5 minutes before Vijay started talking. And before I did, I printed out two things. I didn't know why, but I do know now why, because what Vijay was saying Who's that?
Satya Sai Baba's eyes, yes.
Eyes. That's beautiful.
And who's this?
And Mohanji's eyes, of course. Yeah,
Is there any? Is there any?
Can we have them together like this?
Is there any difference?
No
I see them as the same. For me, it's the same.
Yes.
Both
So there you go. I
powerful.
printed them out just before you started talking.
Oh, wonderful. But Pooja, did you want to say something? You've got your hand
Yeah.
up. Yes.
So there are few things which I really think you are blessed. You are one of the first few people who could talk to Mohanji when he had time. Now we are all fighting to get his time. But one thing which is a take for all of us is the power of POP meditation. I think most of us are connected to either form of Sai Baba, whether the Shirdi or the other, doesn't matter. But all of us have felt that power of POP, that meditation. And when you talk about the difference between connecting to a consciousness and to the form, I think that is one thing we all need to understand. Can we talk a bit more about it, if you don't mind?
Yeah. For me, it's simple enough that basically, maybe I was just so hung up with the form that of Satya Sai Baba. I think I must have been about 15 times to Satya Sai Baba's ashram for darshan, and having that opportunity for Padnamaskar and things like that. And so perhaps I was really connected to the form in some ways. But what I would also say is that I think Barbara also taught me a lesson in the sense that I never have had the chance to have a lot of interaction with Barbara. Most of my interactions were actually through dreams and that. So I think partly I was having that sort of interaction through the consciousness in a way, because I never had that opportunity. And that was one of my sadness and regrets. And I think that Mohanji, he kind of, that maybe that I used to think that when I look at the Yogananda, Vivekananda, and I look at the people that were around right at the beginning, even Satya Sai Baba, I used to feel, wow, these people were so lucky to be able to be in a position where right at the start, you've got this opportunity to interact with a master. And then I realized, actually, I've got exactly that same opportunity with Mohanji. But then, when I also have dreams of Mohanji sometimes, so, he's given me some direct guidance as well for dream. And so I think that it's important to develop that connection, because if you develop just that connection to the physical, then that eventually the physical won't be there. And so if you don't develop that, the sort of more subtle aspects of connecting to Mohanji's consciousness, then I think that we're losing out and just focusing on that physical aspect. But what I would also like to do is I'd also like to sort of just give an example, another aspect of Mohanji, his love and his compassion and his protection. And this was during the COVID time. So what happened to me, Mohanji was coming to London, and he was supposed to be coming on I think it was the 11th of March, 2020. And I remember I'd gone to Sri Lanka for the Global Summit just the month prior to that. And I remember when I was saying goodbye to Mohanji, I could see a bit of sadness in his face almost. And I was thinking, why is Mohanji looking a little bit sad like that? I was just a little bit puzzled by this. But then I could see later on why he was. He was coming to London because there was this invitation to attend the Parliament. There was a meeting there. And he was supposed to fly on the 11th of March, I believe it was. And what happened is that he was literally packing and coming, and then I suddenly got the news that this event had been cancelled because now COVID had kind of broken out. And then I quickly phoned Mohanji, and he actually said that somehow he didn't have a feeling to go because there was all of this COVID thing coming up everywhere, lockdown starting to happen, etc. But I told him it's cancelled, this event, so there's no point coming, and there's also a risk with COVID, etc. And so, but the next day, 12th of March, was actually my birthday. And I felt a little bit sad. I thought it was quite nice for Mohanji to be there on my birthday, but anyway, he's not coming. But anyway, the day afterwards, and so many of my staff were actually having some problems with COVID. Some, they were isolating. If you got symptoms of COVID, you have to isolate for 14 days. And I often joked and I said, it's silly sometimes, you make these silly jokes. And I was joking. I said, I wish I could get COVID and stay home for 14 days as well. That'd be quite nice. And, you get what you wish for. So the next day, I started feeling really, really ill while at work. So, and I remember one of my staff was coming in to see me towards the end of the day. And I said, don't come in because I'm feeling really, really sick. And I was just progressively getting worse. And towards the end, when it got to the end of the day, about to go home, I was thinking, how am I going to get home? Because I have 1 hour journey to get home, and you have to go on a train. And I was thinking, how am I even going to get home? I'm so sick that I can hardly walk. Somehow I managed to get home, and literally I just went straight to bed. And then and then it was clear that I'm getting the symptoms of COVID with the high temperature and everything like that. And then suddenly I started feeling worse and worse. And so I messaged Mohanji that, it looks like I'm getting COVID. And then we were in constant sort of communication. He was messaging me and I would give him an update, etc. My wife was amazing, is that she obviously had to stay in a separate room and just bring food and everything like that. But the situation rapidly got worse until finding it very difficult to breathe. And then and then I was asked to go to this COVID center with great difficulty. My wife took me there. Went there and they assessed me and they said, it looks like you've got COVID, so we're going to admit you. Took me to the hospital. And I remember sitting on a trolley all night. They took an x-ray and they could see from the x-ray that my lungs were scarred and that there would be, not scarred, but the pattern was that of a COVID infection. And so they knew even before they took the test. Then when they took the test, they found I was positive for COVID, so I was hospitalized. But very quickly it got worse and worse until eventually I had to be admitted to the high dependency unit. And even then, the oxygen they were giving me was not sufficient to sort of keep me going. So they had to put this mask on and use a pump. It's called a CPAP machine. So they tie you to a machine, put this mask on, which covers the whole of your face. And it's so suffocating having that mask on your face, and this machine is kind of constantly pumping the oxygen through. And then I had to put me in isolation by myself. And I remember during that period that it was almost like, you're in torture. You're being tortured 24 hours a day because you can't breathe properly. You're struggling to breathe. And even when you're uncomfortable and you call the nurses, you press the button, it takes about 10 minutes for somebody to come because they have to put all their masks, they have to put their gloves and their aprons and everything, and then come in. And so I was like this. And so I kept on ripping off the mask, even though I'm a scientist myself, and I know logically that if I take the mask off, it's not going to be very good for me. But I kept on taking it off because you get the feeling you can't breathe, even with the mask, even though that's the thing that's sustaining me. And the nurses rush in and they said, look, you work in the medical field too. You know that if you take the mask off, you're going to die. So why do you keep doing that? But there's no logic to what you're doing. And I used to have hallucinations and used to think, oh, a particular nurse was trying to kill me. All these odd, strange thoughts used to come. During that time, Mohanji was constantly guiding, but the situation was getting worse and worse and worse. And I lost about 12 kilograms. I was not eating or not drinking much. And then one day it was just such a torturous existence, and especially the night, because you're all alone, you can't sleep, you've got this machine on you, and you're alone. There's no distractions or anything. You can't read, you can't even properly listen to music or whatever. You're just lying there. And I was feeling so awful. I thought, you know what, it's better to actually just die rather than to be like this. And so I gave up. You know, one of the most important things if you want to recover is that belief or that willingness to survive. And I lost that willingness. I thought I'd much rather die than actually be in this situation. So I stopped drinking because I thought, what's the point of prolonging the whole thing? If I keep on drinking, then basically it's just going to prolong the agony. And then so I stopped, didn't drink anything. And then one morning, the nurses, one of the nurses came and said, there's one man from India going to be calling you. Somehow, I had never told anybody I stopped drinking and all of this. You know, obviously the family will go mad if they knew. So I never told anybody. So this was just something that I am doing myself. They said that somebody's going to be calling from India. And then I got the phone, and it was Mohanji. And I had the mask on, so I could hardly talk. So I had to sort of take the mask off and speak. And Mohanji said, Vijay, how are you? And I said, Mohanji, I can't breathe. And he said, I know, I can feel it. That's why I'm calling you. And he said, Vijay, fight it. You know, I am with you. We're doing prayers for you. We're doing all of these things for you. Maitri people all over the world are doing the healing. I am with you. Fight it. That's all he could say. And then when that phone call finished, then something changed in me. That willingness to actually survive sort of just changed. And then as soon as I call finished, I said to the nurse, can you get me this coconut? My wife got this huge 1 liter coconut water. And I said, I better drink something because otherwise it's not going to be good. So they got that coconut water for me, that whole 1 liter. And I took my mask off and started drinking it. And then the nurse said to me, put your mask back on, you're going to die if you don't put it back on. And I said, no, I'm not going to die. And then I just carried on and I finished off that water and put the mask back on, and I knocked myself out from taking that mask off because I literally ran out, you know, went very, very low oxygen. And then I just knocked myself back and just fell asleep. But that was like a turning point for me. And then slowly after that, started to get better. I'd spent over 3 weeks in hospital. I'd just like to share a couple of messages during that period with Mohanji. He said to me, I'll just share one of the messages. He said, Vijay, it's important to keep your strength. Be strong. I am with you. We are doing everything possible to get you out of this place as soon as possible. I've spoken to Dr. Yamini. She was one of the doctors based in the UK, and she was like an angel. She really helped me along. I told her, don't leave any stones unturned and do everything possible, and I am doing what I can. So collectively, we will take you out of that place as fast as possible. You keep up the faith, keep your strength. And we also had a special prayer at Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba's temple. We spoke to the priests who are doing the ritual artis and range of prayer for you there. So nothing to worry. Baba is with you, and also I am all the time with you. Just keep the faith, be strong, and healing is happening, and I am with you. Don't worry at all. So these messages, and then sometimes he would just send me a picture of Baba's darshan or Venkateshwar, video of Venkateshwar. And he would say, just keep on watching repeatedly, and that will help you. And so eventually I started to get better and better. So the oxygen was being reduced. And then, you know, slowly, I was getting better. And even at the end, this is the message I sent to him. Dear Mohanji, I just wanted to give you an update. For the past 3 weeks, I have been on oxygen, but over the past few days, the doctors and nurses have been trying to reduce the oxygen level daily. I'm pleased to say that today they have removed oxygen and will monitor me over the next few hours to see how I am managing. Once I am stable without oxygen for 24 hours, they will consider allowing me to return home to complete the recovery. Thank you for your blessings, grace, love, and support. And his message back, yes, Vijay, I understand. I have been monitoring your progress. I was suggesting to give oxygen more to relax your lungs, as after 50 years, the lung capacity is also challenged. So I did not want any pressure to happen to the lungs. That's why I asked them to give oxygen. I would say that if you could stay back a couple of more days in the hospital, it is better. There's no problem in going home, but I would like you to be observed for a couple of days more, just to ensure that there is no need for oxygen. Also, in England, the level of contamination is higher because the lack of timely lockdown has created more contamination. So right now, you are safe, you are stable, everything is okay, and progress is also good. I have been monitoring this. It would be nice if you stay back a couple of days more. But anyway, doctors will know better. I am happy with the progress, and I am always there with you. Lots of love. So eventually, I got discharged. And so for me, I started this thing by saying, I offer my gratitude to Mohanji for grace, guidance, protection, and love. And you can see from those messages and that experience, the elements all there, the grace, the guidance, the protection, and the love with which Mohanji had actually helped me in so many different ways, because if he hadn't, I wouldn't be here now. And this is like 6 years later now. And I am glad that I've had these extra 6 years and hopefully, a lot more, because there's so many other things. As soon as I came out, he asked me to sort of, run Act for Hunger. And I was thinking, why is Mooji asking me that? I'm just come out of hospital, and he's asked me to lead on Act for Hunger. And so I'm so glad I did, because it gives you something else to focus on. And then later on, those service activities we did, driving to Ukraine with Jay from London, having those opportunities to go to Ukraine and serve. And then the Kumbh Mela. And then for me, the journey for getting the MCB in the UK. So many beautiful things, I've not missed out on. And I think there's obviously a lot more to come. So I think, we've been talking for quite a long time, so I just wanted to probably end on this, although there's much more that can be said. And if you have any comments or questions, I'm happy to answer.
Amazing, Vijay, because I remember that time when you were in hospital, and soon after that, after you started recovering, the first time you came on video, I think we had a boot camp or something happening. I don't remember exactly. You came on video, and it was a shock seeing you the way you were at that point. You lost so much of weight, and of course, recovery. And I remember the entire UK family and everyone around the world praying for you. All of us were doing Maitri for you. And what touches me most is not just, for you, it must have been quite painful, but at the same time, a miracle that how you have come through this most difficult patch of your life. At the same time, how Monji thinks about everything, every small detail. He wanted you in the hospital for those extra 2 days, whatever the reason may be, but he knew you had to be there. So, these kind of things shows exactly what Mohanji is and is. He cannot be put into a frame. It just cannot be done. And I know many of your experiences, and you've also written about this in the Guru Leelas, particularly the COVID one. So I'll allow others also to ask you. Thank you, Vijay, because this brought tears to my eyes, and I'm sure all of us were listening to you right now. And for you too, it was very emotional. Thank you for sharing something so deep from within your heart.
Thank you, Rika.
Bharati, you want to say something?
Thank you so much, Vijay, for sharing all this, and especially the letter. I could hear from your voice, and I could feel from my eyes how much that touched us. And actually, my question is about the previous topic, what you were talking about, like your confusion in the beginning when you met Mohanji and your devotion to Satyasai. I experienced the exact same thing. And my question to you was, you have quite a lot of dreams, and afterwards you started dreaming about Mohanji and maybe also about Satyasai. Was there any direction for you, or was there any extra confirmation in a dream where the consciousness, the shared consciousness was made obvious for you, or was that enough what Mohanji said that time in the car?
No, there was no other dream to confirm that, because for me it was very obvious how everything unfolded and how it was that one consciousness. And Mohanji had said also, it's all the same thing. Once I asked him, he said that the meditation came from Baba. The power of purity meditation, the 360 meditation. He said it came from Baba. So I said to him, which Baba? Was it Sati Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba, or Babaji? He said, it's all the same. So it kind of illustrated to me that, there's this one consciousness, and it's all the same. There's no difference there at all.
Thank you. I had some experience like feeling and experiencing and knowing that consciousness was the same. But still, what I was missing was when I was dreaming about Satya Sai Baba, I always had such an overwhelming love experience. When I would wake up, I sometimes wouldn't even know what the dream was about, but I was left with that immense mutual love. And I didn't have the same experience with Mohanji. So I was thinking he was a little bit more, like business-like, no nonsense and everything. And I missed that a little bit. But then I said, okay, he's like that. And it's about beyond that, it's not about that maybe. And then I had that dream about Mohanji. And he kept on looking at me in the dream. He held my hand and he held it firm, even when I got a little bit shy. Like, when somebody's holding your hand for a while, you kind of go back. But he kept on holding my hand. He kept on looking in my eyes. And it was like his love pouring from his eyes was like liquid love. Like you could almost touch it. And he kept on watching and he kept on looking. And I was drinking it in. So that for me, that was the missing part, the missing connection, what I had as an experience with Mohanji and Satisai. I keep on reminding me of that. But thank you so much for telling. Your voice is so soothing and clear and calm. I enjoyed your whole story and I'm longing to hear more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bharati.
Thank you, Bharti. Anyone else would like to ask Vijay any question? Because Vijay's he's like a storehouse of experiences. Lots are there, lots of emotions, lots of things, and lots of learning and some fun moments, some kicking from Mohanji. Everything would be there, all packed into one thing. But Mohanji has immense respect, immense love for it. That has been very evident, and I think Michael also knows that he's been sharing. So if anyone would like to ask anything to Vijay? No? Okay. So Vijay, thank you so much. I know you're so busy and you still adjusted things around to be here with us. And I hope those who have not watched it will watch you now on YouTube and will get back to us. Hopefully, we do hope that you'll come again another time for another session of maybe about Kailash and all your other experiences. But what you've spoken today, it's really, really touched our hearts, and I'm sure everyone is feeling that deep with it. Thank you so very much.
It's all Mohanji's grace,
you
and
so
I'm blessed to be in his presence.
Thank you,
Thank
Vijay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Jay Mohanji. Thank you for the nice comments too.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you, Vijay.
Good.
Jai Mohanji.
Great.
Thank
Great to hear
you.
from
Jai
you.
Mohanji.
Good story.
Jay Mohanji.
Thank you so much.
Vijay.
Jai Mohanji.
Jai Mohanji.
Jay Mohanji, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And thank you all for joining. We'll meet again next Monday, okay, with another guest. So till then, Jai Mohanji.
Jay Mohanji.
Jai Mohanji.
Jai Mohanji.